My birthday is coming on March 16th, and I will be 100 years old. I will be celebrating at my home in Ottawa, but I will be unable to be in Florida where other people are at the moment, and I'm unable to be there with them to celebrate. I will be unable to meet with them on the 10th anniversary because of my physical inabilities. But I wish all of you blessings of the Lord and wonderful fellowship with each other. I will be thinking of you and wish you a wonderful time of fellowship as you meet in Florida.
It goes as far back as April 1994, when I first began meeting people who said to me, I think I'm part of Israel. I'm not Jewish. I don't have any, Jewish skeletons rattling around the family closet, but I'm part of Israel. And in meeting these people and understanding what it was that they were going through, the idea that they had already left the organized church, were studying the Torah and attempting to live it to the very best of their abilities, in circumstances which were very difficult. In most cases, in parts of the US, at that time I only had met Americans who were into this, who understood that they were part of Israel and were being called out. They had this incredible love of Israel and the Jewish people. I had never heard of anything that initially I thought of as so preposterous. And then I went back and studied the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. And lo and behold, the single most dominant theme throughout the entire prophets is the restoration and return of all of Israel. So we always knew that whether it's called Ephraim or Joseph or the northern kingdom of Israel, we knew they were out there somewhere. Although when we had sent emissaries over all the years, over all the centuries, we never found them. But we knew that they were there because their return was promised. And the most shocking thing for me was actually encountering people who I quickly came to realize were being woken up to this identity. It's not like they had gone out and watched the same DVD. They didn't read the same books. But they came to this feeling that they were being called. And with every fiber of my being, I realized that they were right, that they were and are my brothers and sisters.
I think a lot of the enmity has to do with people asking the question of who will rule. And when you ask that, you don't understand what the Father is trying to do with Israel, because he says in Isaiah 49, "You are my servant, Israel." So servant and Israel are inseparable concepts. If you are called to be Israel, you are called to servanthood. When you walk in servanthood, you're walking as part of the people of Israel. And so I think when we jockey for position, when we want to build our own kingdom, we don't have room on the Father's knee for other children. And we need to understand that he says, "I will leave among you a humble and lowly people." So we don't ask who will rule, we ask who will serve, and we allow people to be different. One of the things we came up with our last RE conference was that we're calling for commitment without compromise and mercy without end. In other words, you don't compromise your own commitment in any way, shape, or form but you always show mercy to others. And if you can do that, you can allow people to be different. And it's an amazing thing when you do, when you see the Ruach moving and different people moving together and some maintaining their differences and yet being uniform in their call, it's an amazing thing to see. So mercy.
For those that have welcomed me, it's been overwhelming. The joy, the love, Batya and Angus Wooten, real pioneers in this movement. You know, when you look around, you don't find very many people who understood this more than 30 years ago. You asked about my being brought into people's homes and being welcomed. It's not as universal as you might think. There's still a feeling on the part of some people that Judah needs to become Joseph before he's accepted at the table. In the same way, conversely, that there are those who believe that Joseph needs to become Judah in order to be accepted. So we are beginning to participate in probably what's the greatest family reunion of all time. For those in this movement, across the world, now this is a worldwide phenomenon. This is not just something happening here in the United States of America. It's literally something that will change the course of the history of the entire world.
When I saw the video, I was absolutely amazed. And what came to my mind was Isaiah 48, where the people ask, "Who are these who fly to the windows like doves?" And it was just like a cloud of witnesses to me. And my first thought was, yes, it is not an Angus and Batya Wooten cult. It is simply that we heard the move of the Ruach, and he continues to move whether we're involved or not. And so it was just wonderfully inspiring. And I'll leave that as a word of wisdom to everybody who gets involved. Don't think it's all about you, because it's not. It's about what the Father is doing in this hour. And he is going to do exactly what he said he was going to do in Ezekiel 37. He will unite the two sticks.
Since the Congress in May of 2015, we have seen a rapid development around the world, quite surprising, pleasantly surprising, as there have been a couple of, now in the United States, several conferences, in Europe, several, another one coming up in Europe, and it seems that people are much more motivated than they'd ever been before.
This reunion, this restoration of Judah and Ephraim can only happen based upon mutual respect for the reconciliation and restoration of all of Israel. This cannot be a situation where people take their personal beliefs and understanding and crams them down the throat of everyone else. We were sent into this walk in our respective manner for reasons that we may never understand. But our one people that was split into two nations, and then one nation exiled for 2,700 years, are being brought back together. However, we can only be brought back together in Hashem's hand, in God's hand. Our beloved Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. Together we will become two sticks in his hand. But for us, in dealing with each other, it can only be through mutual respect for the reconciliation and restoration of all of Israel.
Being a leader means being a servant who knocks before they enter, who asks before they're acting. We've all been run over. One of the main reasons that you and I are here where we are is because of the offenses that we suffered somewhere else. Not in the notes, but I'll share this with you. For many of us, our personal boundary is our offendedness, where we have been hurt and wounded and offended. And it's a boundary around us. And we don't let people in because we're never going to allow anyone else to ever do that to us again. The sad part of that is if offense or offendedness is your primary boundary, then you will constantly be offended because you will misinterpret even the best of intentions, being suspicious that someone is only being nice so that they can get in and wreck your house. So your offense cannot be your boundary.
This has a particular purpose. The particular purpose is that a Congress is not about people taking ownership. It is about people being tasked with responsibility. It is a stewardship. And this is not about weekend warriors. This is not about coming together, spending most of Shabbat, focused on God, and then spending the scraps focused on what we need to do. This is time-consuming. People that have the time need to participate with this. People that are given the means to participate with this need to participate with this.
There is always the question, why these people? We might as easily ask, why Moses? Why Gideon? Why Ruth? Why Deborah? Why Peter? Why Paul? The simple answer is God will choose whom He will choose, and He will work with whomever chooses to answer His call. The men and women standing before you at this gathering are those who have stepped forward to take our nation out of theoretical spiritual discussion and into practical fulfillment of the promises of the living God. The proper question is not why these people. The proper question is why not you? This is your nation. It will not be built without you. Will you join in the process with willing hearts and minds? Or will you stand aside and watch it happen without you?
What this movement has lacked has been a framework from which we can gather together. God has been waking us up all over the globe. Some of us have come this way from reading certain books, watching certain DVDs, sitting under certain teachers. Some have just found it because God has shown them. They've had nothing but the Bible and the Spirit, and they've opened it up and thought, wow, why aren't we doing these things? Because they've been there all along. But what we've lacked is cohesiveness, a face to the movement. It's been very chaotic. There are a lot of lone rangers in this movement, a lot of islands, a lot of rogue islands out there. And what this document, I hope, does, what I pray that it does, is that it gives us that cohesiveness, that glue to say, yes, this is who we were, this is who we are, and this is where we're going. And even if we don't agree necessarily with every single word and phrase throughout it, in general, as a whole, it does represent what we believe, and it does give us a way for us to unite and rally around each other and walk forward according to God's will.
It's beyond inspiring. We all read history, we study history, we study the lessons of the prophets of Israel. It's totally different to actually witness history and prophecy, history being made and prophecy being fulfilled. Very few people in history ever get that kind of experience. It's been beyond awe-inspiring. At times it's almost shocking that this is happening, but it's only happening because it's His time. We're only doing this because we're all being led collectively to participate in this.
As all of us parents know, a birth is a risky proposition. And survival of the birth process is no guarantee of survival beyond the first few years of life. So that's the way I introduce what I tell you about B'nai Yosef North America over the last year, because people will say, what has Bina been doing? Well, I'll tell you, we've been struggling to survive. You remember that story in Revelation 12, that imagery of that woman who gives birth and the dragon is at her feet, ready to snap up the child as soon as it is born? We've had that experience. From March the 6th, from the time we walked out of the conference in St. Petersburg, Florida, we've had one fight after another. So if you wonder, why aren't we marketing things? Why aren't we promoting things? Why aren't we doing more than this or that? Well, the first thing is we had to survive. And that is why I thank the Creator that He has given us 8 godly elders, because they have been the first line of defense.
We would like to see something change with the organizational aspects of what's happening with B'nai Yosef now. Opportunities for these young people to come over and volunteer. Like in the Jewish, they have this birthright organization. They have money they have money behind this organization that brings these young Jewish people over, and they get involved in this archaeological work and different experiences in Israel. We would love to see that happen to young people in the Ephraimite movement, is to have these small groups and have the local communities support and get them over there, because once they're there, some of these volunteer programs, they get their room and board for that, so there's not the extra expenses, but just to have an experience in the land and touch the land and have an opportunity to do. Sometimes we older people want to just do quick things for ourselves. Well, let's set up an embassy. Let's set up a meeting hall or something. And we need to invest in our young people in this movement. Many of them are homeschooled, and the parents are coming to their identity. That then means they also are Israelites. They don't have to become, a labeled Jesus believer. If their parents find that they're rooted in that history.
I just want to take a minute and just say, thank you guys for coming. And this is quite an opportunity, but it's not just for us. It's for you guys too. And thank you for being here and giving this time, even in this time, because we want to hear from you. We really do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. I speak for myself, but I think these other guys can attest to it as well. It's not like we were looking for something else to do. But this is the Father's heart. So it's ours. And we want to hear from you. All right?
I have the doubt that kept my forefathers out? Can I make it past the curse? Will my heart be sure when I stand at the door? Will I need my eyes to see? Oh, Adonai, how I plead, have mercy on me. Don't let me stumble or fall. Let me have no doubt promise you have for me. Sometimes I'm sure that you're at the door. Then doubt comes over me. When the shofar sounds, will I step out? Will I need my ears to believe? Will I need my ears to believe? Oh, Adonai, how I plead, have mercy on me. Don't let me stumble or fall. Let me have no doubt that will keep me out of the promise you have for me. Oh Lord, touch my eyes that I may cry. Let my tears fall at your feet. Oh Yah, break my heart that I will start to trust you and believe. To trust you and believe. Oh Adonai, how I plead, have mercy on me. Don't let me stumble or fall. Let me have no doubt that will keep me out of the promise you have for me. Of the promise you have for me.
He is planning a reunion and has allowed that Judah will be in charge of who's there at this point in time. And we need to honor that. Even as he's honoring Judah, we honor them and seek to serve them. That does not mean that Judah doesn't need to know things that we know, but you know, we were told to go forth and be witnesses. And if you have to use a few words, be witnesses. Don't talk about it. Be a witness. Be a servant for Messiah, and then your brother will see you as Yisrael.
The one thing I'm really not known for is my singing voice. Kol od balevav b'nehima
נפש יהודי חיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון סופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים